the nutritive value of what we eat has diminished over time, it's because we have allowed it to diminish in India, which is proving to be a much, much bigger task than I had ever assumed. One of my pursuits right now is to try to tackle the issue of malnutrition amongst children in India, which is proving to be a much, much bigger task than I had ever assumed in terms of what it really addresses. One is trying to innovate, and one is up against, do you defeat yourself in innovating because you're dealing with a very convention-based and traditional-based marketplace, that is the rural market? Are they open to doing something differently? You know, it's the syndrome of in the rural area, if you're sick, you consider that needle that goes in you, that we call an injection, sui dega to theek hoga, even if it's glucose.
Yeah.
So there are symbols of tradition that we have to overcome. So when you go and say whether you take this pill or you sniff this essence and it's good for you, it doesn't do what this does.
For something like that to happen, to change the dimension of fetal and infant nourishment in the country, which is very, very vital, where almost 60% of the rural population, even their skeletal system is not growing to its full size. In a nation like this, where we are busy producing an underdeveloped population, and all that we have is population, nothing else in this country. If we make this into a strong, capable, inspired population, we could be a miracle, otherwise it would be a catastrophe. In this, unless we have an army of dedicated people on the ground who can educate and transform that situation, just trying to do something from the top, either from the government or even from a corporate sector, may not really take shape, because we have been in rural India working there. So there are many ways to do this, and we are already at this. But when you talk to a qualified doctor, they're always thinking in terms of putting, iron pills or vitamin pills into the pregnant ladies. If necessary, yes, maybe, but to improve the diet itself in the rural India, where we have shifted from what we call as subsistence farming to cash farming, where people, you would eat better 25 years ago, but they did not live better in other terms. But today, in all other terms, if you go into the village today, there's electricity, there's a bore well, they have an internet kiosk, everybody has cell phones, but their nourishment value has gone down because they don't have the mentality to use their money to go and buy the necessary foodstuff, either fruit, vegetable, fish or meat or whatever that is needed for them. They tend to… the staple diet in South India has become just rice, chili, onion and tamarind. In North India, it's wheat, onion, chili. The whole country, at least in Northern India, the whole government debate is about the price of the onions. I happened to be in London and this was going on the news, and they asked, what about the onions? I said, this is our staple diet. That's why everybody is discussing onion in the parliament, on the street, and somebody is trying to win an election on the price of the onions, because that's our staple diet. Nourishment has been forgotten. So to bring back that culture of nourishment, many ways it can be done to bring back those vegetables, fruits into people's lives. We have taken steps. Now the next step we are planning is to start fish ponds in every village. So every person must consume at least 1 kilogram of fish per week at least, and it'll be available free of cost if they just throw their waste into the fish pond. So innovative ways of doing this has to happen, because this is a silent disaster which is just progressing and it'll overwhelm the nation at some point.
I think what you just said over the last few minutes is really, really relevant, because what we are finding also is the worst thing you can do for the country is to give everybody a sense of dependability on an outside force, be it the government, be it a private party, be it a public-private partnership. You have to create sustainability that is self-generated. If we have to create an environment of innovation, maybe that innovation comes not necessarily just in the nutritive thing, but how to create prosperity that is sustainable in a community. Not prosperity that you've fritter away in buying material things. That's the trappings of prosperity, but to create prosperity in the village, fisheries or fish ponds, or creating livelihood in terms of produce, etc. We're not addressing those issues adequately in the country, and many of them are, as you say, things that can easily be done. And if the nutritive value of what we eat has diminished over time, it's because we have allowed it to diminish, and we have not been innovative in terms of addressing this.